What's going on, guys? My name is Mike and welcome to another Team Pscythe deck profile. I am today joined with the winner of the Game Academy League Cup in Tampa, Stephen Boychew. He played the Greninja break deck. So why don't we go ahead and just get right into the deck profile.
Cool. So I played Greninja break. Starting with our Pokemon, we have 4 Talonflame. Big variation from most Greninja decks nowadays. We have 3 Froakie. Cut the 1 Froakie just to give more chances of starting Talon. 4 Frogadier standard, 4 Greninja, and then 3 breaks. Next up, we have our supporters. We have 4 Professor Sycamore. We have 4 N. For energy retrieval, I don't play Starmie, so we're actually going to go ahead and play 2 Fishermen. And I do play 1 energy retrieval we'll get to later. I have 1 Wally, which is good off of the Arrow Blitz to go ahead and get a water duplicate if they do knock out Froakie. Next, I have 1 Guzma, just in case I want to go ahead and knock out a Giratina promo. I have 4 Ultra Ball, 3 Evo Soda to get the breaks out. Next, we have 2 Field Blower for the Gardevoir matchup. We have Max Potion, just a 1-of tech card. You can kind of play around it. Next, we have 1 Energy Retrieval, which is also nice in case you have to discard Fisherman's early. Next, we have 2 Rescue Stretcher to get those Pokemon back into the hand. Then we have 3 Choice Bands, pretty standard. 3 Brooklet Hills to pull out our Froakies. Then we have 2 Splash Energies just to get the Greninja line back to the hand. And then we have 9 energies. I can't get those all out there for you, but we have 9 energies in the deck for our Shurikens.
Okay, well, you ended up going 4-1-1 in Swiss, and then you went, obviously, to the finals and won the whole thing. So why don't you talk a little bit about your tournament experience and some of the decks you played there? So
my first round was against Golisopod, which is pretty much an auto loss for the deck. Sometimes you can beat it, most of the time you can't. That was my first round, and I lost that one. And then I had to win out the rest of the tournament. So my next deck was Solgaleo, which was pretty easy because I could just Shadow Stitch and they can't really use their abilities. Next up was Gardevoir, just a standard Guardy list. Beat that one pretty easily because he didn't play Tina promo. Next up I had Drampa Garb, which came down to the wire. Thankfully, Max Potion actually saved me in that matchup. I was able to just heal the damage off from the Drampa and keep swinging. Next up, I had a Volk matchup, which I kind of bricked early and ended up coming back and being able to win. And then my last round was against another Volk player, but we went ahead and ID'd so I could get top 4, and wasn't an issue. And then that got me into 6th place for final standing, so I made top cut for top 8.
Okay. Why don't we talk about a little bit about your top cut matches? How did those go?
So top cut, first round was against a friend of mine, Bryan Kennedy, who was playing Gardevoir. I won game 1, lost game 2. Just he kind of was knocking out my Greninjas, and I never got to use 2 Shurikens in 1 turn. So he beat me game 2, and then game 3 I beat him. But it was pretty standard, normal matchup as most Guardies go. So I beat him. Next was top 4, and there was 1 Golisopod matchup in top 8, and thankfully Igor beat him with Volk. So my matchup was against Volcanion instead of Golisopod. Volk, Igor Costa played. I beat him game 1, and then game 2 he beat me on turn 2. I couldn't get set up. I had 1 Froakie down, so I bricked and he just knocked it out. Then game 3 I beat him, kind of just Shadow Stitch my way to victory in that one. Too much damage. And then the final round was against a Gardevoir player. I can't remember his name, but it was the first time I met him, but he was playing Gardevoir. I won game 1 against him. Game 2 was kind of the same thing as the original Guardy game that I played. And then game 3, I actually field blowered my own Brooklet Hill to prevent him from dropping down another Pokemon. And I won with just 2 Arrow Blitzes to a Ralts, and ended up winning off of a brick, so whatever.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Definitely an interesting way to win. So overall, how did you feel about Greninja's consistency? Obviously, Greninja is a deck known for being very bricky and not having consistent options. So how did you feel about it post-rotation after all the stuff it lost from the rotation? How do you feel about it in this format as right now with the consistency?
So the consistency is definitely still an issue. I feel like Aero Blitz helps you a lot right now, especially because if they try and knock out your Froakie, you can Wally Water Duplicate still on your turn 2, even if you didn't have a Froakie that turn. And then it also has Evo Soda, which can go through Po-Town, which makes Devolve not as good of a matchup against me. And that's about it. But it lost some stuff, but it gained amazing matchups. Guardy's a really good matchup. Volcanion's a really good matchup. Metagross is almost an auto win. So if you play any of the top meta decks, you're pretty much going to win them. So what it lost in cards, it gained in matchups.
Okay. And that was kind of my next question here. What did you feel were the worst matchups or decks you were fearing heading to the tournament, and what decks were you hoping to see a lot more of?
Right. So definitely worst matchups is going to be Golisopod and Bulu. Bulu is a little bit more easier, but Golisopod with the Garb variant where they're playing ability lock plus being able to one-shot my Greninjas is really a tough matchup. Talonflame really helps in that matchup, but it can only take me so far, and eventually it kind of comes down to a wire almost every game. So those are definitely the worst matchups. And then the best matchups is mainly the top meta decks. Metagross is usually an auto win. If you get up 2 or 3 Greninjas, there's nothing they can do. Guardy's pretty good if they're not playing Tina promo, because you can one-shot them and they need too much energy, and that's about it. All the other ones I'll take.
Okay. And then I remember you saying about the Guzma, you played the one to drag up some Giratina promo. So how did you, whenever you saw Giratina promo, how did you approach that matchup? How did you approach the card?
So first I looked at what the matchup was. If it was something that I can two-shot with a choice band, then I didn't go for the Tina promo. I'll just leave it there. But if it's something like Guardy or Metagross where I can't two-shot, then I will try and go for a Guzma play once they have low cards in hand, and I'll go for a Guzma Shadow Stitch, and just see if they can retreat it. If they can't, I'll just keep going with that and try and knock it out. It doesn't always work. Most of the time it doesn't, but it's worth it for the one-of option. I think I might replace it for a Counter Catcher later, just because it's something I can play for free without wasting my support for the turn, and I like it.
Okay, and then that was actually leading into my next question. How do you think the next that's Crimson Invasion and Shining Legends, how do you think this is going to impact this deck and its matchups heading into the future?
So Shining Legends, I don't think it's going to change at all. Pretty sure everything's going to stay the same. Counter Catcher was the biggest card from Crimson Invasion, where most of the time you're going to be down prize cards with Greninja. So you're just going to go ahead and play Counter Catcher, and it's a free Lysander. So I think that's going to be the best card coming out of the new set. Other than that, nothing else. Greninja is always going to be Greninja. Okay.
Well, there you have it, guys. This is the Greninja break deck profile. Stephen Boychew, winner of the Game Academy Tampa League Cup. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe.